Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at Ask Adam Torres. And if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Marshall Kuremsky on the line, and he's a partner over at Loud Capital. Marshall, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right, Marshall. So quite a story we have today. I'm excited to talk about we'll get into, of course, your journey and how you went from really expanding your skill set as an orthopedic surgeon to entering the VC space. And we'll also talk about, I know you have I won't spoil it too much for because we'll save this for later, but you have a new fund that you're launching. So I'm excited to break that news to my audience also. But maybe just to get us kicked off and to get us started, let's just start with a little bit more about your background. So really, how did you get started on your path and in your career?
Well, that's a great question, and maybe one of the most common questions that I'm asked. And maybe it's because there are a lot of physicians that are seeking the same thing or wondering about it. So my story is unique in the sense that I have always wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon, and specifically a sports medicine doctor. And by that, I mean for 30 years. So when I was 12 or 13, and after I had broken maybe the 8th or 9th bone in my body, a lot of time in the orthopedic surgeon's office, every time I went in, I was hurting, broken, and in pain. And every time I came out, I was feeling better. And he had a lot to do with that. So growing up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I had a younger brother. We played hard. And for whatever reason, I was always the one getting hurt. I mean, I thought I had the upper hand in some of those battles, but I was breaking my wrist or my hand or my forearm or my elbow. And I literally must have broken 10 or 11 bones. And so with my dad being a physician, with my mom being a nurse, I think it was just in the DNA that I was probably headed for a path similar. And I set my sights as an early teenager on becoming an orthopedic surgeon with a specific interest in sports. And fast forward 30 years later, and I've either been chasing that dream, trying to get there, or actually living it out.
That's awesome. And it's kind of funny to me because as you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, you just reminded me I've never broke a bone. So while you're your own best client, as of this point, I might be your worst client, but now you got me a little nervous over here. No. So Marshall, that being said, so you've been an orthopedic surgeon for quite some time now, and you really kind of expanded your role. I mean, you're also an educator, and I know education overall is a really big part of what you do. Can you explain a little bit more about what that means to you?
Yeah, so I have been either getting educated or doing the educating, and sometimes both for decades now. So throughout all the schooling and medical school, like a lot of different professions, has an extended pathway. My training didn't end until I was 35, and I went straight through. So to become like a specialist, or even like a subspecialist in my field, it took that many years in order to get there. Upon finishing all that training and getting a job as a attending physician, I've been training residents or medical students or fellows in their training. And then now, as part of my work with Loud Capital, I spend a lot of time educating other folks, investors or physicians, or people who want to have a conversation about some of the things that we've got going on.
So what are the kind of things that really motivate you? Like what inspires you and what keeps you going?
For me, it's finding and following a passion that has always served me well. So, and I'm somebody who speaks from the heart, and in general trusts my judgment to take me in the direction that I'm supposed to go. So I find similarly that it's easy for me to engage with people who have a certain passion or enthusiasm or an energy about them. I love that. I love seeing folks who have created something for themselves, particularly out of nothing, or when they had little opportunity. And I truly appreciate hard work. And I by that, I mean, not just long hours, but dedication, commitment, a no quit clause, as I call it. So those are some of the things that inspire me, maybe because I think I have some of those traits, but also just because I know that with the right attitude and mindset, the sky is really the limit for a lot of people. And you can do all kinds of things. You can even go from lifelong wannabe surgeon to surgeon, and then to businessman and investor.
Man, that's it. It's an amazing story. And let's focus a little bit on how you did go that investor route and how you became an investor. So like what drew you to that?
Right. So, ironically, in my path to getting to Loud Capital, had started several years earlier. The CEO of our company is the other physician in the group, Dr. Naveen Goyal, and I met him because we were both groomsmen in a wedding together. And this was back in our late 20s, and we had a mutual friend. To say that we were both groomsmen says a little bit about the relationship that we had with this guy. And we did the bachelor party, we did the wedding, and once you know it, fast forward maybe 9 or 10 years later, and he and his wife put on a 40th birthday party, invited all his closest friends. By this point in time, he's moved 3/4 away across the country. Okay. And I reconnect with Naveen after many years of not having seen him, but there was an inherent trust and a bond there that we had. And so it wasn't two guys that didn't know each other that needed to kind of sniff each other out and figure out what each other was all about. It was two guys who had a history and, more importantly, a common friend. And I think that spoke to some of the things that we shared in common just regarding some traits. Well, in this conversation, as I'm looking around at my friend and talking about life and what our purpose was and our jobs, and am I defined really as just being a physician? Am I more father and husband? Am I a person who's trying to change the world? Am I somebody who's just trying to give his best every single day, and that's good enough? I found myself just asking, what can I do? Who am I and where am I trying to go? And is there a different way to do this? Is there a better way to do this? Maybe a more efficient way to do this? And we got to talking about this company that he had started, Loud Capital, and starting as a pure venture capital company that started from scratch in 2015, based out of Columbus, Ohio. And then, suffice to say, you can say it was the perfect mixture and synergy of opportunity and need, the right person with the right energy who wouldn't go away or take no for an answer. And I was intrigued by the prospect of finding other ways to make my hard-earned money work for me that could potentially create time and other opportunity for me. Because for me, time is freedom. And that's ultimately one of the things that I think that I've started to realize the older I get, is that I don't have the time that I did when I was 28. That time is more precious now than ever with young children and a spouse. And to free up that time, instead of following the default path, which is work in medicine until retirement, which is basically mid-60s. I've had a couple partners that passed away within 12 months of retiring. Spent their whole career as a physician. This is 30 some plus years, and died of cancer in under a year. That does not seem to be the way to go. I don't think that's the purpose of my place here. So my purpose is to inspire, to educate, to teach, to give, to hustle, and to be the best version of myself that I can be moving forward. And I'll tell you that I believe it was fate and God's plan and everything that we had that 2.5 hour conversation in late February in Austin, when for some unknown reason it was like 89 degrees outside, sweltering. So just sitting there and catching up and learning about this company, and specifically the mission, the path, the culture, and the values that they held. And I thought to myself, you know what? I don't know if I'm able to do something like that, but I want a piece of that. I want to be a part of that. And from there, literally, that was a sentinel moment and a life-changing pivotal point for me in my professional career, but also my personal development, right there in February of 2017.
Wow, what an amazing story. And yeah, I mean, it's all God's plan, but sometimes when you can just see it like so obvious and clear, and you're like, why'd that happen? Like, okay, thank you. I get it. I love it. Or at least that's how my conversations with God go. So I get it.
Agreed.
I wanna you to talk to a very specific set of people right now. Let me tee this up for you. So, there's a lot of people out there that are maybe highly trained individuals like yourself, orthopedic surgeon. I mean, it could be lawyers, could be other types of doctors, could be a multitude of other things. And they have other, passions or ways that they maybe are thinking of either partnering or starting businesses or all kinds of other things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be just for, extra income or for retiring early or other things like that, just in general, where I think a lot of us may stereotype that's why you'd want to do another source of income. So let's just say that there's something else they want to do, but something's been really holding them back. It could be fear of, like, I know when you first said, okay, you obviously are an orthopedic surgeon, but now you're also going to work as a VC. Like there's possibly you got some people that were like, huh, like that, like,
Oh yeah.
how are you doing that? Like, and I don't mean that they weren't supportive. I just mean it takes a moment for people to connect to you if they have you in a certain box. So there's a lot of people out there that are like that. What helped you along the way to really be able to transition and to add that other thing to your life, to your identity, or to, a thing that you do outside of being an orthopedic surgeon? Like, because I think there's some other people that could benefit from hearing that, because they may be in that similar situation where they want to do something, but they're just kind of holding back. What kind of things would you tell them?
Okay, that's a great question, and I will be honest, nobody has ever actually asked that, but it is one of the stumbling blocks that I come across, because to a lot of people, I'm Marshall the doctor or Marshall the orthopedist, or some folks I'm probably just that guy,
Yeah.
but I'm not. I'm changing and I'm growing, and I think that's the point. Is that I was meant to do as much as I could while on this earth, and to be the best version of myself and to give. So two words come to mind when you ask that question: one, believe, and two, launch.
Mm.
So for those who are doubtful or skeptical or trying to maybe put you in a box or stereotype you, you must believe in yourself and you must believe in what you're doing. So I have an inspiration now that I knew always existed in me, because that's how I've gotten as far as I've gotten, by working as hard as I can. Not always the smartest guy in the room at all, but somebody who didn't want to stop. So on top of believing, you must then launch. And that's a one word expression for me. So launch with an exclamation point, like launch. And what does that mean? That means just do the thing. Okay. Like Nike, but different. So just do the thing. And what is the thing? The thing is your thing. It's whatever it is to
Mhm.
you, and it doesn't matter. But fall forward, make your mistakes, try, get up again, and do it again, and make another mistake. The only thing that matters is getting started. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to find that inspiration, find your why, and then you must do. You must act. Okay, and there'll be bumps along the way. If there aren't, then it wouldn't be fun, but it would also be easy and everybody would do it.
Mhm.
So you're right. There are those people, and it's taken some time to break down those walls and those barriers and those perceptions of who I am. And what the interesting thing is, um, if you've known me in the last 5 years or so, you're totally comfortable with this aspect of me, and maybe you just think I'm nuts because I have two jobs.
Mhm.
If you've known me for 20 years, and some of the guys I've known for 20, 25 years who were groomsmen at my wedding,
Mm.
are still my best friends. They're super supportive, but it took them a little bit more time to wrap their head around this. And now they see, hey, he's not going away. And this wasn't some sort of fling or thing that he decided to get into, because that's in general not my style, is to
Yeah.
be, rash. So launch and believe in yourself. And those two things can carry you so far, Adam.
Man, I love it. And it's great insight. And I tell that to my audience all the time, because I come from that background of, I was in finance for almost 14 years before I went into media, now full time for going on 5 years. But it was really hard for people to see me and to see what I was doing in the beginning. They're like, what? You're doing what? It was very confusing. And I understood. I mean, it is what it is, but you just push forward. So I love your two thought process. You got to believe and you got to launch. And I love it. I think it makes a lot of sense. Let's I want to switch up. Let's go ahead and get into Loud Capital. I want to spend some time on
Sure.
that. So you told us a little bit about the founder story and how you and the other the founder met originally. And so now let's talk a little bit more about, maybe start off with the mission behind the company and kind of what you're up to.
Sure. So the slogan for Loud Capital is venture for people.
Hmm.
And those three words were chosen very carefully. Okay, not venture capital and not everybody. We shortened it from venture for all people. It's venture for people, and so that means venture, which is to seek, to embark, to chase, to pursue, whether it's adventure or venturing for something or towards something, and then for people. Loud Capital believes in access and opportunity for all, everybody, gender, race, creed, religious belief, country that you're from, doesn't matter. Like we don't think about things in that regard. And the less access you have to opportunity, whether it's capital, to education, or to the right circumstances, the more we want to help you. So Loud's mantra is the belief, the core belief that venture capital can create a positive impact in society, with the notion of pursuing the investments in diverse and underserved communities, along with a responsibility, a true feeling of responsibility to educate and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs to also embrace this belief. Okay, and this is how we try to pay it forward. So yes, this is for-profit stuff that we are doing, but we believe that if we find the right entrepreneurs and inventors with the right products, companies, widgets, whatever it is that they're trying to do, that make the world a better place for people, that we can get behind that kind of stuff all day.
That's awesome. And I want to go further down that line of thought, but I want to tackle that from a couple different angles. So first off, let's talk about the individual founders themselves, because there's some people out there that are watching this right now that are founders of companies, and they're thinking of maybe going the VC route or not. And some have done it in the past, some are considering it. I mean, what do you look for just in general in a founder?
That no quit clause.
Yeah.
Somebody who has launched, somebody who won't take no for an answer, somebody who believes in themselves as one of their best assets. A more mature entrepreneur or founder also recognizes the value of a team and of a support crew. So I thought about this a lot because I'd rather bet on the individual than the idea. Now, if you have the wrong individual or the wrong idea, either one of those can sink a company and a dream. If you have both, that's a very potent combination.
Oh, yeah.
But the right person can take something that's mediocre or marginal and make it great through their belief, their passion, and their ability to inspire others. They really can. If you then onboard the right team members, before you know it, you have created additional inputs, you have strengthened your product and your company, and you've become better than you thought that it was. The idea is, of course, important. So it's good to have something that makes this a better place, that makes people's lives easier, that is good for the environment, that is good for the economy, that improves safety or access. We love all of those things, okay? So I believe that when you talk to folks, you can see in their eyes where they're coming from, how much this means to them, how much they're willing to work for it. I think companies are going to fail and ideas are going to die, but that's okay. That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
We can live with those because we feel good about who we chose to partner with and believe in. I think that's the core there. So to somebody who isn't sure, you have to reach out. You have to take the first step and ask for help, develop your business plan, identify your needs, and get access to capital and grow your team. It's a long process to start a company and make it into something that somebody wants. So those are some of the steps and the thoughts that I think, but never doubt yourself or counter. You can doubt yourself, but don't quit on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and all great advice. And I wanna ask you this next question, but I'm not asking it from a self-serving area for you, but I think actually a lot of people out there that have never worked with VCs or anything of that nature, they don't necessarily understand the benefits or the potential benefits of taking on a strategic partner like a VC and accessing additional capital. Like sometimes a founder has a certain growth pattern and they think, this is the way it is. And and this is the way it should be. And maybe it's correct, by the way. So again, I'm not trying to say that VC capital is right for everybody, but what have you seen in your career are some of the potential benefits for founders taking on capital?
Well, you've got a finance background, and so you're leading into it, and you're hitting some important points. So, in my opinion, one of the biggest flaws, and even a fatal flaw, is the inability to accept help, to cede some control in order to strengthen your team. Some of the smartest, best, and most innovative entrepreneurs want to do everything for themselves, and it is incredibly difficult to do that. If sometimes if you write code and you have a software app or a game or something like that, that's one thing. But if you're going to have a product, you need marketing, you need sales, you need software, you need a business team, you need a plan, you need a board, you need help. So being accepting and willing to take help in exchange for giving up complete control of things sometimes, and thinking about things as a group, is critically important. The other thing is, so VC and PE, venture capital, private equity, those are some sexy terms and buzzwords now, and a lot of people talk about them. But what exactly is that? Well, venture capital lives in the investment world somewhere between the seed and the Series B stage. So we are looking at early, oftentimes immature or less mature companies in terms of their growth, in terms of their finished product. The risk is higher, but you've gotten into the game when the company was worth a lot less. Therefore, the upside is higher. So a company that has a successful exit, whether they are acquired by another company or whether they undergo an IPO, if you're in early and they have gotten to that exit stage, you stand to see some massive gains, more so than other agents who may come in later in the game when the company or the product is a little bit more seasoned and mature. The upside is less at that point in time because the risk is less. So when you work with a venture capital firm, at least this is our belief, it is not transactional in the sense of, hey, we need 10% of your company in exchange for $100,000. Like, here's the deal. These are our terms, et cetera. It really is a full analysis of the entrepreneurs, the board, some of their consultants and strategic experts, the product, the whole thing, looking at its current valuation at that point in the game, looking at the ceiling or the upside, and then seeing how we can help them and agreeing to some exchange of equity or ownership in the company in exchange for capital that we have raised. So we have to raise money from our investor pool to then provide to companies so that we and our investors, Loud's investors, own portions of a series of companies, and that makes up a fund. Now, the belief for us is that is step one, but not the only step, and that support, resources, development, and utilization of our network, which is extremely broad and is international and covers virtually every sector, that is truly the value of a good VC partner. So a lot of times we will hold board seats or serve as strategic advisors to companies long after the money has been deployed and the checks have been wired. Okay, we want to help the entire extent of the process. So some of the companies that we've helped the most and have had successful exits, one of them said to us recently, "You believed in us when nobody else would."
Wow.
And that kind of stuff's on our website. I'll tell you, just saying that out loud right now gives me goosebumps because of the power that there's a time when you have an idea in your head, or you start telling some friends and nobody wants to believe it because it sounds nuts, or it sounds too hard to execute, or going to take too much time or money. And these are the folks that have worked on something 5, 7, 9, 10 years. And then finally it's here. Yes, they have cashed out, but some people helped them along the way. And when they show that gratitude, that's when you realize that one group of people who supported a company when they were young is now touching the lives of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people if they're users of a product or a software, or they're making a good or providing a service. And then you realize, wow, that is impact. That is reach.
Man, that is
So that's
impact and reach. You got me all excited over here, Marshall.
that's what
That's
I do.
awesome. So let's I like to now change it up to talk about it maybe from the company point of view. So we talked about the founder side of things. Like when do you know, or when does a company kind of know, or the founders in a company obviously, but when do they know when a company might be ripe? And I know this will change from industry, from, size of company, from founders background, a lot of different things that can come into play there. But just in general, when do you think companies should be thinking about taking on capital?
Sure. So there are business expenses, and they're never going to stop, right? To run any company,
Right.
whether it's doing something media or software or it's a healthcare product. So after the initial idea, and usually the founders own money or some of it to get things going, there will
Mhm.
sometimes be a friends and family or an angel investor around. And these are the friends and family is as it implies, people who believe in you, who know you, and say, sure, here's 5,000, here's 10, here's 25, 50,000 from Uncle Steve, who wants to help his nephew out. Then some angel investors who really are willing to give more significant amounts of money. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, because what happens as a company starts to realize not only their potential, but that things are working,
Mm.
the need for capital grows, and it starts to grow at a faster and faster rate, almost exponentially. And here's why. As anybody in business knows, you start to assemble a team.
Yeah.
Okay. That team may or may not be getting paid. They may be getting equity or options or something like that, but at some point they're going to want to get paid
Mhm.
for their time and their services.
Yeah.
You will have material or equipment or product costs as well. Maybe it's manufacturing, maybe it's software. You will have marketing and sales at some point in time, so that you aren't developing something in your garage, which is just the
Yeah.
most awesome bang up product ever, and nobody knows about it. So you have to get it out there. So there will be a never ending stream of expenses that come up. And along the way, there'll be these various checkpoints where
Mhm.
you realize you need money because you're about to
Mhm.
plateau and or run out of money. And the plateau is where Series A, B, and C investments come in. You raise enough money with a clear business plan of, hey, if I'm asking for $5 million here, it is because I need that, because I need to triple my staff, hire a CEO, launch a massive marketing campaign, and oh yeah, I need to increase my production by 30% and my sales by 50%, and I have to get the word out. So that's a typical thing that companies will have to think about and go through. And then these things, these events to raise money are highly coordinated and hopefully well executed series of events, because ultimately the companies need this money to continue to succeed and thrive. And they have better things to do than raise money. They need to go work on their idea.
Yeah. I love it. It makes total sense. And I have this conversation with people all the time. And it's like, it's tricky because, I can't give people advice like that. But at times it's like, oh man, if you just had a little, but then it's just like, just a little help, little push there, some more resources, this, that, like this, they could really it's like, at times it's like throwing gasoline on the fire. So, I mean, I have my
Right.
biases, but I've seen it work well. I've seen it not work well. I mean, so it just depends, a lot of different variables there, but all great information. Let's
Thank
go
you.
further into Loud Capital. So you've talked about the founder side of things and some things that you look for there. You've talked about the company side of things and things you look for there. Are there any particular like niches or areas that or industries that Loud Capital focuses on versus others? Or give us a little bit of a feel for what type of portfolio you like creating.
So some of our portfolios are completely industry agnostic or industry non-specific. They'll cover 12 or 13 different industries, from manufacturing and energy or transportation and blockchain,
Yeah.
healthcare, fintech. So we are interested in good people and good ideas rather than specific industries
Mm.
for the most part. That being said, I think we have a certain appreciation for energy, a certain appreciation for fintech,
Mhm.
a certain appreciation for AI, and of course, healthcare, seeing that a third of the partners are physicians.
Yeah.
And healthcare stuff is just important, all right? It's important for people's health and well-being. And if you can find companies that make products or deliver services that are that are helpful that way, it's easy to get behind that, especially if you have some market expertise. We have other opportunities that are extremely niche specific. For example, we have a Pride Fund, which is the world's first and only completely dedicated fund for members of the LGBTQ community. So, meaning the only criteria we have is that a company must either, its founders must be members of the LGBTQ plus community, or its product, device, opportunity, it must service or better that LGBTQ plus community, okay? So again, speaking for opportunity and access, if I said that the single most underfunded group of people in the United States is absolutely the LGBTQ plus community. They struggle for capital, okay? They're discriminated against, they're biased, they feel a sense of being shackled and unable to be free to really express themselves for fear of being turned away. It's also true that, for example, Loud Capital, 50% of the companies that we invest in are founded by either females or minority entrepreneurs.
Oh, wow.
So we have a real soft spot for that. And it doesn't mean that we look for it per se, but we kind of look for it a little bit. and that's because those groups of people that I'm mentioning have some of the most awesome ideas, the best passion, were born to do something to help this world and struggle with basic access to capital for reasons that may not be fair. The deck may be stacked against them for lots of reasons, right? Sure. But the point is, we love to help anybody who is truly deserving of it. And I think the word is getting out that Loud Capital, even though we're only half a dozen years old right now as I'm talking to you, we believe in thinking differently and executing in a unique way, because this isn't your typical VC firm that just raises money and then deploys money and is seeking massive exits and nothing else matters to us. Okay, all that stuff actually matters to us along the way. It matters a lot to us.
So let's talk about it from the investor side of things. So we've covered the founders, companies. What about investors? So what types of investors are typically a good fit for Loud Capital to participate in the funds, and what has been your experience there?
Sure. So obviously we look for accredited investors and those who meet that criteria. A lot of folks, particularly physicians, will reach out to either Naveen or myself because they've seen some of our content or heard about us or seen some of our stuff on our website. And the most common thing we see is that people appreciate somebody who's in their position, to whom they might seem relatable, who can understand the journey and can understand why somebody is looking to do something else. We try to run our business with the same Hippocratic oath code of ethics that a physician would, which is, first, do no harm. And secondly, talk to, treat, and relate to people as you want to yourself, right? Yeah. So do the right thing, which was a lesson that was espoused by my chairman of orthopedics in Charlotte, North Carolina, who taught me, and that was his line: do the right thing. It is so simple and yet seemingly so hard to do. So we really try hard to do that at all times. If you ask us a question and we don't know, we'll tell you we don't know, but we're going to try and figure it out. We're not going to make something up. If it doesn't seem like a good deal, we'll tell you, like, hey, I don't know about this. Like, you might want to research it some more, think about it. The ideal folks for us are those who are looking for opportunities that are not correlated with the stock market or any of the exchanges, because none of the things that we do are tied to the stock market. Okay. That's one of the advantages. It's a way to diversify your assets and your portfolio. Okay. We have some real estate that we do as well, but even real estate counts as an alternative investment. So to us, the alternative investment world are all the things that are separated from, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. And that's what that means to us. So startup companies and cryptocurrency and real estate, that constitutes alternative investment, at least in the traditional sense of the word. Now, lots of people invest in real estate now, so I don't think that anybody really views that as novel or different. But again, it's taking your assets and placing them outside of your 401k or your IRA or things like that, because you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket, because you believe in diversifying and protecting yourself against the ups and downs of the economy as a whole, both domestically and internationally.
So Marshall, you have a new fund coming out, or a new fund that you're launching. Tell me more about that. Love breaking that news over here on my show.
We certainly are not very far along in advancing that. So I'll give it to you now. Yeah, Loud Capital will be launching Venture Capital Fund 3, or Loud Capital Fund 3. For us, it's the third time we will have started a fund. We have successfully raised and deployed money and closed 2 prior funds. This will be our biggest venture capital fund to date. Once again, we anticipate being industry non-specific. We're looking for good people, good founders, good investors. We're targeting somewhere in the $5 to $10 million range for the total value of the fund. We anticipate seeding or funding some 2 to 3 dozen companies to give it a very broad exposure across healthcare and fintech and AI and energy and anything else that happens to come our way. We will be raising capital for this and looking for interested investors that would like to get to know more about us and what we stand for and our track record. And those are the kind of people we want to work with, people who have a good feeling after speaking with one of the members of the Loud Capital team, and who agree with the kind of things that we stand for, and are willing to trust us with their money. Because as I think about it, I don't really talk about this, but it has occurred to me, I believe that I have so-called skin in the game. I've personally invested my own money in every product that we have, which puts me on the exact same wavelength as any other investor. Okay. What happens to you is going to happen to me. And I don't do that for any reason other than I genuinely believe in these financial opportunities. I feel good about them for myself and my family, which means that I feel good when I look in the mirror when I'm talking to somebody about them as well.
Fantastic. And then you're also a new company. I mean, you're a busy guy over here. You got a new company that you're starting also? I mean, what's going on there?
All right. So Naveen, along with Brian Pennick and I, so those are 3 of the partners at Loud. We have started a online platform for physicians by physicians. And the name of this company is called Beyond Physician. Okay. And what we've done with this is we are creating a widespread opportunity online to promote opportunities to earn additional income, opportunities to learn and to grow, opportunities to get credentialed and go through a verification service, opportunities to learn and develop different skills, such as basics of investing, or opportunities for public speaking, opportunities for medical consulting, or working with device or medical product companies, making yourself available as a public speaker or an expert witness, getting involved in the medical legal world, or as a consultant. So a series of opportunities to consolidate in one multifunctional online platform where the only criteria is to be a physician. And we want to help you become beyond a physician. So helping bridge that gap from wherever you are in your training, super early or very experienced in your retirement, to do other things, gain expertise, education, and knowledge in those other things, and make yourself more marketable, more successful, and more diversified. We believe that no matter what you're seeking, whether it's additional income, opportunity, or just diversification, that if as a physician, you're craving something more, we want to be the first stop that people come to look into becoming a better version of yourself. We think we can help with that because we understand we're doing that ourselves.
Wow, that's amazing. And you can just feel that you're creating essentially the platform that, like, wind back the clock of time a bit, that you wish that you maybe had one day. That's what it sounds like to me, because on your journey, like, how amazing would this have been if you could have plugged into a network like this originally?
Yeah, and again, I think that's part of the path and the plan for me. It wasn't meant to be, or I wouldn't have had the rich experience of being a physician and a surgeon and helping people on a one-on-one basis, right? I mean, it's a humbling profession. When you make mistakes or if things don't go the way you want, it's a heavy burden. when you're trying to help somebody with their health. At the same time, for more than 2 decades, I have done things with honesty and integrity. I have been involved in education and becoming board certified and remaining that way. I have cared for and about people, and frankly, I'm just translating that skill set and those values into a different aspect of life. It can be done. You can do good business and basically have those same principles and virtues. There's really nothing to it. It's refreshing, we think. And so there was a reason that it happened at this point. Now, I also talked to medical students and residents fresh out of medical school, who've heard us or seen some of our stuff and say, how can we get involved? Or this is so cool, or I'm already thinking about that. And for those folks, yes, I'm envious that they have more than have time on their side. And I didn't know about it, but that's okay. I'm appreciative for the time that I have had with it, and the journey it's taking me on. And I really feel like I'm just getting started, right? I mean, 5 years into it, but Loud Capital doesn't go anywhere. We're here to stay, and therefore my experiences and the kind of person I'm trying to become, it's just going to keep growing and changing, and I'm cool with that.
Man, it's exciting, and I love it. And the way I look at it is you're really just leveraging your skills, your expertise, and like you're saying, one day people are going to look back and say, oh, these kids these days, they have that Beyond Doctor platform now. They don't know what it was like when we were growing up and we had to figure it all out ourselves, right?
Well, that's the thing, like, so physician burnout, physician dissatisfaction, there are tens of thousands of people, no exaggeration, tens of thousands of physicians that are looking for something else. You may be like me, you didn't even know what you were looking for, just that you were looking, right? What inspiration, change, a sense of fulfillment. As one of my partners in Beijing actually told me for Loud, when he said, Marshall, why are you doing this? When I met him, after listening to me ramble for like 6 minutes, he looked at me and said, Marshall, you lack fulfillment. And it was like he mic dropped me right then and there, he listened to me very patiently, but he was able to synthesize it and say, yes, you've accomplished this, you're highly educated, you have a good job, very stable, you help people, but there's more. There's something wasn't there. And that was exactly the thing. Something wasn't there. And it fell into my lap with Loud Capital. So, it is true. It's good to be part of something where you're creating something for somebody else. And that's because we want everybody to have as much as they're capable of going out and getting. You just have to go get it.
Amazing. So Marshall, first off, it's been great having you on the show. I mean, I really enjoyed this interview and getting to know more about your background, and also, of course, what you're doing at Loud Capital. But that being said, if somebody is watching this right now or listening to it and they want to learn more about Loud Capital or to follow your upcoming projects or anything else, I mean, what's the best way for our viewers to connect?
Sure. So you can go to our website, www.loud.vc, like venture capital, loud.vc. All kinds of tabs on there: education, a physician section, opportunities about our funds, and then there's an invest section, and it'll ask you for some information. But that email will come to me. Right? It'll come to me with your email address, and I'll reach out to you, or you can email me directly. Totally okay. Marshall@loud.vc, MARSHALL @loud.vc. Just put something in the subject or the very beginning that references Mission Matters or this podcast or something like that gives it a little bit of a personal touch. For better or worse, get hit up a lot through Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that, where people are looking for money, or they want me to help them with their thing. I would be interested in talking to you if you're interested in our products or our investment opportunities, or if you need help yourself, but just make it unique and distinct so that I give that one some special attention in the email inbox.
Perfect. Well, Marshall, again, thank you for coming on the show today. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We definitely want you to be a return viewer and listener, and just stay part of the Mission Matters community overall. And Marshall, again, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Adam, I enjoyed talking with you. Thank you for having me as your guest. I appreciate it.